The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is a Monday in the rib.
And today I'm going to start with a message from a viewer who was very, I don't know, you'd say upset, but here's the message I was sent yesterday. Happy Easter, Doc. That's what they called me. Great weekend flush. You should have ended it with the Easter bunny on the fire truck with Laliberte-Lebeau's children. Pam was riding in the police car going by friends' homes. Now, I hate to rain on people's parade, but we have liability issues here. Everyone's watching out for our tax dollars, but yet it's do as I say, not as I do. We have a pandemic going on now. Although it's a nice gesture, some of the things that are happening in this city shouldn't be happening. Stay at home. And by the way, it would be nice if Representative Viola, when she went out on her walks, wore her mask. Oops, Pam Laliberte-Lebeau's kids were in the truck, not on the truck. Error. But yet the mall wants the public wants public safety again because there's no money. She meant mayor. The mayor wants to promote public safety because there's no money. Don't forget, we have a police dispatcher and a police car quarantined. It's interesting to see how people are getting upset because, as you may or may not be aware, yesterday, Chip, there was an Easter parade.
Really?
Yeah, they took the.
I'm not aware. The Easter Bunny didn't visit yesterday, so.
You were a bad boy.
I had Easter candy anyway.
Good for you. I hope you had some nice jelly eggs.
I actually had dark chocolate Hershey's with almonds. So.
There you go. Make me jealous. Well, because what happened was an Easter parade was put together, and I guess they believed that it was going to, lift the spirits of some of the children and whatnot, and it actually had the opposite effect. Because Pam Laliberte-Lebeau's children were on the fire truck, many of the children that I've heard from parents since this message came in said was their children were upset because they couldn't take part in the Easter parade. Pam's in the police car. Her children are on the fire truck. The Easter Bunny's on the back of the fire truck, waving at everybody. And my question is, who paid for it? Where'd the money come from? And don't we have a $4.7 million gap?
Number one, you can't keep a 6-foot distance if you're inside a police vehicle. I don't think there's 6 feet between the occupants in a police vehicle.
Or a fire truck.
Or inside a fire truck. You're right. And children shouldn't be on there. Public safety should be, actually, they should be semi-quarantined. They should only be doing essential services, in other words, responding to fires and emergencies and doing what they have to do. They should also, for their own safety, but not only for the safety of the public, but for their own safety, they should be limiting their contact with people. And it doesn't say much about the intellect of some of these people that are supposed to be city officials when it's a political photo op and it's the feel good. Oh, yeah, and now, we're so terrible for pointing this out because you're just trying to be nice and bring joy to everybody. Well, no, let's bring some logic. Just like, you know that the email I just sent you was
yes.
To that, what I said. We have politicians who listen to this financial team that there's a $12.7 million difference between what they said last year during budget time before an election and this year. But nobody's questioning why. I think Pamela Laliberte-Lebeau and all these councilors should be making telephone calls to people and asking why we got this deficit, where it came from, not looking for ways to fund the deficit like they did the last time.
And that's what they're trying to do. But just by looking at the agenda for tomorrow's meeting, you can see that.
Yeah. Well, look, they're going to listen to the same person that from 1991 has been misrepresenting figures and giving false figures and inaccurate figures and losing money and can't account for money. And they're going to take her word as gospel again. Well, they took her word as gospel when she said we had an $8 million surplus. Now we got a $4.7 million. So what did we do? We're like the Red Sox or the baseball teams. The team sucks. They get rid of the manager, not the players who suck. They get rid of the manager. So now what do? We don't get rid of the financial team that has been responsible for decades upon decades of errors and financial catastrophes in this city. We just give her a pay raise, automatic cost of living raise, a $5,000 pay raise that piggybacked on her previous $40,000 a year pay raise for her to go misrepresent numbers. And as I said in my email this morning to you, did anybody look at the PEC meeting on video when she was sitting in a room and she looked like she had a mouthful of crap because she didn't open her mouth when we exposed the fact that she misrepresented the cost of the health care to the city council. Has one damn city councilor even mentioned that? And this is one of the reasons we have deficits. Nobody knows anything about our money, and nobody has any incentive to try to find it. No, they want to go right on fire trucks and send the wrong message to people. Does everybody want to ride on a fire truck? Oh, yeah. Everybody wants. And number one, there are liabilities about having these people on fire trucks. We couldn't drive around with kids in a fire truck when I was on a job. Because you're a city councilor, you get to do that. There's a liability. If that vehicle's in an accident or something like that, there's a financial liability on the community because you're not supposed to be in police cars and stuff with this. You shouldn't be doing that. And not everybody's child can do it. And it's just the wrong message to send. And I know that we're going to be vilified.
Oh, of course.
For being curmudgeons and saying, look at that, you're urinating all over the Easter. Well, no, I'm not. What I'm saying is let's have some semblance of common sense. Even though we all know that the least common of senses is common sense. And this is ridiculous. We shouldn't be having any incentive for people to congregate like a parade. We should not be doing that, let alone the government doing this.
I agree. It's just very interesting. I wanted to, I left the screen for a second because I wanted to thank somebody. I received this in the mail. I actually received two of them with instructions. And if you look right here, this little white thing that looks like a piece of paper, it's actually a HEPA filter. This is a mask. It says, this fabric has been pre-washed. It's 100% cotton. I hand steamed the mask when it was fully completed and placed it in a bag. I have included a HEPA filter to insert in the inside pocket. Please take it out when washing. It's good for 30 to 90 days. Please only wear when going out in public. This is in no way a certified medical mask. Stay safe and God bless, Maria. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate the thought of you sending this to me. Your gift is well appreciated. I don't know if I have to declare it to the ethics committee. Only kidding. But that was very nice.
I feel left out.
Well, I've got two.
But I didn't get one.
I've got two.
I might get one that has powder in it or tips. But
I've got two of them here, so one of them may have been for you.
No. I still got masks when I work. When I work on a house and stuff. When I did all my do-it-yourself.
Well, I actually found some N95 masks here at the house, and I found a couple of boxes of gloves. So I'm wondering, Should I stop wearing my gloves and throwing them in the parking lots of the stores I'm at? Because I'm noticing that this is a new thing in Fall River. Let's just be pigs. It's unbelievable.
You know, the new thing is fashionable. It's just like, you know, but the irony of this is, you know, this has become, it's that old paradox. This is a curse and a blessing to politicians. Everybody's forgotten about the fact that we swung from an $8 million surplus to a $4.7 million deficit. And they're going to use this to justify 2.5 overrides. And as I said in my email to you, we have to oppose these things. We need to cut these jobs, cut these CFOs and things we never had before, when we had more people to control and a larger community. We had a greater population, larger city departments, and we had none of these jobs in the school department or on the city side. And it seems that the more people we pile on, the worse it gets. It's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And everybody is forgetting about this. Everybody is so obsessed with the coronavirus that they're going to use this, because let's prove, people. Let the voters of this city, let the taxpayers of this city, the people who are going to be bludgeoned to death, because they're not going to have any qualms about saying we have to have a 2.5, regardless of the fact that none of you got any jobs anymore. You're all collected. Businesses may not be back to normal for 2 years, and you don't have 2 nickels to rub together. But the hell with you. As our superintendent so aptly put it, you don't like it, move to Russia. We don't care. We don't care about anything. We don't care that this city is one of the poorest cities in the Commonwealth. Let's dump it. Even if the federal government, I got to say this, because, you know, it does my heart good to see the federal government saying what we've been saying on Spindle City Straight Talk for years. And you can't have an economy without people with money. That's why they have these checks going out. Because when people don't have any money, the businesses do not survive. They can't survive. And it's without money. So Fall River has made it's elevated it to an art form of taking money from people who don't have much money. When you look at communities that are affluent, they do everything they can to keep money in the rich people's pockets. And that's why they have a lot more businesses and far better economies. But in Fall River, it's always, you know, beat up the poor people. If they don't like it, I can afford it, because I can give myself a pay raise and an automatic cost of living raise. So this is disturbing me. I mean, I get more and more disturbed, because every day I hear nothing. I mean, it took how much demanding for the city council even to have a meeting? But do you really think that anybody is going to call Mary Sahadi on the fact that she said that the healthcare cost was 8%? And even though on that PEC meeting we exposed that we're paying less now than we did 10 years ago, the only thing in the city that's actually reduced, and that her numbers were, she was lying. We can sugarcoat it and say misrepresented, but it was an out-and-out lie to make the economic condition look worse so they can justify more fees and taxes. And she's done that time and time again.
Well, what?
She uses the word gap. You know why? I was thinking about that, TJ. You know why she used the word gap?
Why?
Because you can fill a gap.
That's right.
Because what you do is you get more tax money to fill the gap. You don't want to figure out where you got that gap from. And why we had a gap not that long ago. We had an $8 million gap when she was around. And Kathy Ann was around, the dream team. But nobody's looking. Is the city council, are they going to ask? Are we going to find out why? You know, when a building blows up, the gas company and people got to inspect to determine why the building blew up. When there's a fire, you have to investigate for a fire cause. When there's a crime, you have to investigate a crime. Well, it has been a crime committed here in Fall River. Misappropriation of taxpayer money. And as the city council who's commissioned with the financial decisions of this city, is anybody trying to find out why we continue to repeat this time and time again? That's the definition of insanity. And we're doing it again. Our answer is always to just get more money for the people.
Right.
We don't give a damn if we can. In private industry, this city would have been out of business 50 years ago.
I agree. I agree that there's some issues. I was just looking. The reason why it kind of got quiet for a minute, I was just looking at tomorrow's city council agenda again. And what are they talking about tomorrow? What are some of the important things? Proposed fiscal 2021 budget for water and sewer. Proposed fiscal year 2021 budget for emergency management division. Mayor proposed ordinance for fiscal year 2021 regarding water and sewer rates, which means they're going to raise it again. And remember, we talked at one of the last shows. They want $2 more on the rainwater tax. They want to put that fee is never going to go down. Don't ever think it's going to go down. Don't ever think it's going to go away unless the people of Fall River make it go away. You have to make it go away. And that's the issue. Unless the people get rid of it, it's not going to go away. They're just going to keep tacking on money to that fee. Just like a base water meter fee. Why do they need a meter fee? Why are we paying a meter fee? I don't pay the electric company a meter fee. I don't pay the gas company a meter fee. Why do I got to pay the city of Fall River a meter fee to bill me? Because all that meter does is count the amount of water I use so they can generate a bill. Why are we doing that? Because they want more money. All it is money, money, money. And if it doesn't stop somewhere, it's never going to stop. And the problem is the people of Fall River they're like sheep. They're lemmings. They just keep following until they go over the edge. Boom. And that just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Well, it's a definition of insanity. I've got to get and I forgot his name already, but that Florida author who wrote his final column, Charlie, I can't remember his last name, but he wrote his last column about the government not really wanting to fix anything and how, if we don't really want high taxes, why do both parties? If both parties are against high taxes, why do we have high taxes? And then at the end, I've got to get that list for the next show. He had a list of like 100 and some taxes that the government has instituted. But that's what they're good at. We have a fee for a water meter. Well, how about giving me an option to buy? I think I paid enough water meter fees to own that meter. Give me the option like my hot water heater that I can go out and buy one if I want. I don't have to rent it if I don't want to rent it. I can go out and buy one. But again, as you said, CJ, they find ways that we never stop getting water increases, even though the water department submits a budget every year that's supposed to cover their expenses. And then a month later, they're back in front looking for more increases. And our council allows it.
Of course, because they've never met a tax or a fee they didn't like.
And we allow it to happen because we keep electing these, well, not me, but we keep electing these boneheads back in. We keep putting these boneheads back in that don't know how to do anything but take money away from us. They'll never, ever. Years ago, a mayor couldn't do this. When we had people that all ran for Somerset and Swansea and Rehoboth and Dartmouth and Westport, all the people that used to vote these people out are gone now. We have these apathetic people that don't vote, and all the political hacks that go support their political godfathers, and we seem to not get them out. Well, maybe this time after they bankrupt the city and we go into receivership, the receiver will fix it. Because I'll tell you, our council does nothing. Our council does absolutely nothing. All they know how to do is march in goose step, not lockstep, in goose step with Mary Sahadi because the only thing they know how to do is figure out how to bond and override and get more money from you, and they're blatant about it. They have no shame. They tell you have to pay 2.5 every year, and we're even going to override that. This city doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together. It's an absolute crap hole. We haven't done a damn thing to improve the quality of this city. The drugs are running rampant. Junkies are running rampant. And what do we do for you? We raise your damn taxes every year because you get the pleasure of living in one of the biggest crap holes in the country, because we are the most dangerous city in the Commonwealth. And look at what we're protecting. Let's increase STAR. Because look, did you see the report this morning on the news? They had a nurse's car broken into in Boston.
Yeah.
Someone caring for the sick. The junkies, it was a junkie smash and grab.
Right.
It's a junkie specialty. So what do? And you think that these people, let's spend some more money on Narcan. Take some more money out of me, because I can tell you one thing that's not going to get reduced except your wallet. That's all the programs to help the people that give these people nothing, because you're not getting any taxes from them. You're gonna take it out on the elderly, on the poor, and balance the budget on them, and never ask a question as to why we got here. How in the hell can we be back in the same position we were in when we recalled Flanagan? It wasn't that long ago, people. It wasn't that long ago that we went from big money to $8 million in a hole. And now we're 4.7 million from a year ago that we were 8 million to the good. And nobody's asking questions except CJ and I.
And here's the interesting thing. It's, all you hear is $4.7 million gap. But when you add the $8 million up that we had, that means we have a $12.7 million gap missing. I don't know where the money is, and of course, nobody knows where the money. Maybe it's in one of those hidden accounts they found once before. I don't know. Maybe it'll be an account that they leave hidden for 25 years.
And that's the big point, CJ, you just brought up. This isn't a $4.7 million deficit. It's a $12.7 million deficit. Because if she wasn't lying, which wouldn't surprise me, last year, when she said we had an $8 million surplus, that's a $12.7 million difference from the last report we got on our financial status, isn't it?
Yeah.
That math isn't that difficult. That math, 8 and 4 is 12, and 0.7 is 0.7, so $12.7 million difference. But nobody in the city council has even broached the question. And again, she'll be asked the question, and I guarantee you, and I'm a betting man. Anybody wants to bet me? I'll bet you. I'll bet you a coffee and a couple of donuts.
But you can't do it together in the same restaurant.
She's not going to have all the figures. She's going to be asked the question, and she's going to say, well, I don't have those numbers right now. I'll get back to you. Even though it's her job.
Right.
It's her job. She went down there to give a financial report. She should have all the numbers.
She never does.
And if she doesn't have the number, as we said, the meeting should be adjourned and send her back to the office to get it.
Yeah, but the city council doesn't have the backbone to do that. They don't have the gonads. They just can't seem to do that. They want to accept complacency. They don't want the numbers, because if they get the numbers, they have to face reality, and they don't want the reality. They like the fairy tale they're being told, and that's the problem we have with this city council.
Well, the only problem, and you know why that happens? The only people that have an excuse are the new councilors that were never in a chair before. But you don't think they really want to answer those questions? Because you know what the follow-up question is? Why did you allow her to give you incorrect numbers last
Exactly.
year? And the year before that? And the year before that? Why did you allow, after the $8 million deficit that we face, that you balance on the backs of city employees by taking $8 million away from them in their healthcare system and let them pay that out of their pocket? An $8 million pay cut for city employees. Why haven't you straightened out your act? In 1991, when Hagen Sahadi did not do an audit, they did a reconciliation, a recreation, and admitted that under oath, and there was money missing. They told the arbitrator they would fix their accounting system, and it is 2020. Do the math.
That's 29 years, baby, and it still hasn't been fixed.
9 years later, the same people are here making the same mistakes, and that arbitration is available. If you want to read that arbitration, the city promised to fix the problem after Ernst & Young said it was the biggest fiasco they had ever seen. This city had virtually no ability to accurately know how much money they had and where it was.
Here's the problem. After 29 years, it's no longer a mistake. It's deliberate. There's no saying that I made a mistake. It's 29 years of doing the same mistake. That means it's deliberate. That means you are deliberately working to defraud the public. And I'm using those words specifically. You are defrauding the public when you present false numbers. You are defrauding the public when you fail to accurately represent the accounts that this city has. And by defrauding the public, you are violating your fiduciary responsibility.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what. You know why? The sheep allow themselves to be sheared every year.
True.
We rose up against Flanagan, and we got rid of him. And as I said in my email to you today, it may be time again for us to rise up and vote a tax underride, vote down any attempt. Make them tighten their belt. Make them streamline government. Tell them you do not want police and fire reduced, except as a last resort. Get rid of these people that have been fleecing you. Fleecing. That's what they do. They come with. I think we're at the point where they're no longer going to be able to fleece them, because you can fleece a sheep annually, but when you skin them, you can't fleece them anymore.
No, and
I think we're at the point where we're down to where they're going to skin the sheep.
And think about it. When you start laying off or furloughing, whichever term you want to use, the people at the lower end of the spectrum, the people that do all the work, okay, you've got to get rid of 2 or 3 of those people to meet the salary of one person in your administration. And maybe that one person in your administration isn't necessary. So think about that. All of those political jobs you give away, that's 2 or 3 people on the front line. Get rid of those political jobs and then go to the front line. Do it appropriately if you have to do that. And remember, we're saying if you have to do it. We're not saying they're going to do it, but we're looking at these numbers, and with the state having a shortfall in revenues and now the city, who knows what's going to happen. So remember, be prepared for a bumpy ride, people, because it's just going to happen that way. And it's sad. Well, we're down to about a minute left. So
You got to remember one thing. We do have the ability. Our Constitution allows us to get rid of these people, and we have to. Private industry, they don't. You remember the time where a few companies went bankrupt?
Yep.
They gave all their CEOs $1 million golden parachutes, and the people who had to work and made them all that money lost their retirement, their pensions, everything.
Yep.
And this is the way it's. But at least we have control. We did it with Flanagan. Maybe it's time again to really look. We got a bumpy road ahead, but remember, stay healthy and stay really angry, because let's look at what they do at the council tomorrow night. Because I can guarantee you, I don't think 2 councilors watched the PEC meeting have read anything that we've written or said.
All right, Chip, I got to cut you off there. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay healthy, stay angry, and we'll see you again on Wednesday.